This podcast is sponsored by YSC Real Estate Group, offering a tailor-made service, versatility and expertise for all your real estate needs. Are you thinking about selling, buying, investing or having your properties managed? For more information, check our website, www.yscrealestategroup.com. We are passionate about real estate and we love to support local businesses. We hope you guys enjoy the podcast. Cheers.
All right, guys. Another
episode.
You want to introduce the special guest today?
So today we got Kiel Tewarie, the newest member of our team, just helping out with a lot of stuff in the back end, repairs, maintenance, anything.
Yeah, Kiel's been a good angel that came out of nowhere. Dave's
angel.
Dave's friend. And he has a good story. He has good energy, and we thought it'd be great to get him on the podcast. Something a little bit different about business, and kind of talking about the spirituality with business himself. And for me, I do believe in spirituality and business go hand in hand. If you have a good spirit, I think your business will blossom. And I would say Kiel is definitely, from where he's come from and what he's attracted with our business, definitely has a great story to tell, I would say, because I think what interested us was, like, he posted a reel, and it was a reel that he survived $5,000 in 2 years or something.
Yeah, I was when I was nomadic. First of all, thank you guys so much for having me on the podcast. It's a blessing to be here in Calgary amongst family, and it feels very fitting that I'm finally here. And thank you for all that's tuning in, all those I haven't met yet. Big shout out to you. So yeah, I was nomadic for the last 2 years from Kelowna originally since 2016, and I went on a healing journey.
What's nomadic? Just so, yeah.
So I converted my extremely large automobile to a camper. It was a Honda Fit. And I was basically living off the grid for the last year and a half, traveling around, adventuring, just doing what my heart wanted me to do. And I just followed my heart in the last year and a half and quieted down the noise. And I really dialed in with what my soul was yearning for a long time. And I felt like I needed to plant some roots again, and Calgary was the place. And it just so happened that starting a family and stuff now in Calgary in several months, my firstborn child will be here, which is a blessing. My son in May, so I'm very grateful for that. I've always wanted to be a father, and I feel like I had to give up the world in the last year and a half to gain the world inside of my heart. And made me realize the gifts we have inside of us, but sometimes we forget to acknowledge ourselves or to take time and space from this process of being, to just acknowledge our gifts, right? That we were sent on this planet with.
What made you want to dive into more of like a nomadic, off-the-grid life?
Yeah, like what were you doing before, and then what?
Yeah, like give us the history.
Oh my gosh! So that version of Kiel was probably like pretty busy. I was just overworking, like 12-hour days, not spending time with my partner at the time. Very ungrounded in the relationship, having all the toys, but none of them actually giving me what I actually needed. And I realized I need to let them all go including my relationship, because it wasn't serving me anymore. And in doing so, I got really simple. So I just basically had a bed, a little desk that I built in my car. I was doing some video editing, so I learned how to edit. And I just traveled around BC and Alberta, just connecting with people in communities, because I felt like I was very isolated when I was in that space. And for me, what actually healed me was connection and community. So I felt I was yearning for that, and nothing else was as more important than connecting with community. No job, no place, like no person. I just literally want to just like free my heart from any obligations I had at that time.
So how old are you?
I'm turning 39 actually in March. So yeah.
So give us like a little time scope, because like
Cool.
Yeah, I guess you were working, then you went nomadic. Now you're here, but like,
Yeah.
give us a little time frame.
So
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Trinidad and Tobago, which is in the Caribbean. So I was there till I was 9 years old. My parents emigrated to Toronto in '94. From '94 to 2001, we were in the Toronto region, and we moved outside of Toronto, a little town called Whitby. And we were in Whitby. I was pretty much in Whitby since 2016. And a big shift pulled us out west was when we came in 2012 with my brother. I saw the mountains for the first time. I fell in love, and I was like, man, like, how is this? Like, how is this real? Like, how is this Canada? And it's so crazy that I'm sitting here with y'all, and I love this seat because in the back of you is the Rocky Mountains, and that's the thing that actually pulled me out. And they say when you are drawn to mountains, it's because you're drawn to Mother Nature. The mountains resemble like the breasts that are on women, and it's like for nurturing. And I think you can all relate when you're in the mountains. You feel like a certain sense of like peace and like nourishment.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's
Mountains resembled breasts.
breasts. Yeah, like
Some perky ones.
some pretty ones, just like Shakira talks about in her songs, you know. But no, honestly, like I feel like, yeah, I really wanted to come out west, and I came to BC. I was in Squamish, and then we moved to Kelowna in 2016, and I was in Kelowna since like just until I got here in September, actually. So September last year, made the commitment and move. I have a beautiful partner in Calgary, and just gonna start a family, and I was just really stoked that Calgary kind of chose me as well, you know. So I've always wanted to be here.
So how long were you on your spiritual? Because like what I want to talk about is like I think we're all in a spiritual. We all want that, you know, spiritual alignment, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now you're coming back and you've been working like a maniac, right? Like working, so like Western world working, especially Calgary's a working city, right?
For sure.
So it's like that's a big shift, especially from where you came from and
Yeah.
you know where you're at now. So
Huge.
I guess what got you like to come out of that world, right? And I guess how long were you in that world for?
Yeah.
That?
Those are some,
And tell us some stories about that, because you've probably done some crazy shit.
some crazy stuff, man. Yeah. So I started like my spiritual healing journey probably when I decided to separate in the relationship, and that was November 2021. And my family was in Dominican at the time, so I was like, hey, I want to come spend 2 months with you guys.
So it's been pretty recent.
Pretty recent, yeah. It's
Also, like before, only 3-4 years almost.
For sure,
Yeah.
man.
Oh.
Yeah. And then I went to Dominican, and within like a week of getting there was this random person on the resort. He approached me. He's like, "Hey, man, I want you to come to Colombia with me." And I'm like, man, what do you want from me? Like, and he's like, "I just want you to mentor me." And I'm like, this guy was like a pretty successful digital nomad. He worked for Snapchat. He was on the consultant team, so he was very wealthy. But I was like, what can I possibly offer you? And he's like, you know, the way you connect with people, it's very easy. People feel very comfortable talking to you. And he's like, I don't have that. And I started realizing that I was also healing. And I think once we start our healing, we help others heal. And there's obviously different layers to like our healing. Like if we look at past versions of ourselves right now, and we reflect back on how far we've grown, we can really see how much we've actually healed certain parts of ourselves. Maybe being in a toxic relationship, or having toxic habits, or giving up an addiction. I think that says a lot for just us, and I guess for humanity, because I feel a lot of people are struggling right now, and the world has gotten very expensive. It's gotten very busy, as we know. We're in Calgary, and it's a very busy city, right? So I knew I was coming back into the beast after literally just being nomadic and not having a plan for like weeks and just like going with the flow. But I did ayahuasca. Basically, that was the turning point. And that was December 21st, 2021. And it was really powerful in Colombia. And after that, it was about letting go. That was the whole process for me. The medicine showed me how many things I was attached to that was not actually serving me. And I think the big part of being nomadic for me was letting go of attachments, because there were 3 things that I got from taking the medicine from Mother Aya. She was like, you need to let go of attachments. Yeah.
Can you just explain to people that maybe not know what ayahuasca is? 'Cause,
Absolutely.
like, a lot of people probably heard of it, but
sure.
don't really know the details of it. But yeah,
For sure.
and like how long you did it for, I guess.
So Mother Aya, it's basically a plant that they brew. It's from the Amazon in Central America. It's been shared with humanity for thousands of years, and it's basically the most potent. What's the word? I'm drawing a blank on the name.
Drugs.
Yes, psychoactive. Yeah, thank you, Dave. Yeah, it's the most powerful psychoactive drug we can take, that gives us visions of our past lives, our current lives, and it gives us visions of different dimensions. And we can spend a whole podcast just on talking about that, because I think it's just like mind blowing. But basically, you see yourself as a soul stripped away of all your stuff. And in that stripping away, you realize what is actually serving you and what's not actually serving you. And the whole medicine is about letting go and surrendering. And that's a hard concept for people nowadays in life, is to let go. Like, think of something that it's very dear to your heart right now. The most prized sentimental item. Would you be ready to let it go right now? And if not, why? Mm-hmm. So that was the process, and once I did it...
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Why aren't people ready to let that go, you think?
Fear. I think a big thing is fear, right? Like, attachment is really fear-based. If you look at life, everything is actually finite. Like, everything is on borrowed time. Anything you own, anything you do is on borrowed time. But once that time has passed, it's already gone to death, right? So, like, if you look at your life, I'm 35 years old right now. 35 years of my life has already gone to death, right? But there's still life to live, depending on how long you live for. But I feel like a lot of people are just scared of death because they don't know what is on the other side of that. But once you have attachment towards things, it makes life even more difficult to move forward, right? Yes. But if you really think of life, it's very finite, and time is the only finite thing that we have. Everything else you can make again, whatever it's money, whatever it is, you can always make more of that, but you'll never be able to make time, right? And like, I feel like just people they're so attached to things because it creates some sort of identity, some sort of worth. But the thing is that stuff will be gone one day.
For sure.
Everything's borrowed in life.
That's a great point.
I think everyone's attached to their own identity, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially because you take so long to make it, right? Like,
for sure.
You put a lot of energy and effort into your identity.
Yeah.
Like, you have your own identity right now.
For sure.
Right now.
Absolutely.
Right? Dave, me, right? So it's like, it would be very hard to be like, okay, that's not me anymore. But I think you slowly lose your identity as you grow.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing I've learned is like, you know, even yesterday we were talking on the podcast and he's like, I know you, Jason, as party and drinking and like, you know, 20 years ago. I'm like, that identity is like almost gone, right? But it's so like, it's so crazy that people still hold on to your identity too.
For
right?
sure.
So it's very hard to like, if you do want to change your identity, to sustain that also.
I find that people have an idea of who you are because that's who, like, the image that they create for you.
For sure.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that's you. Like, that they're just putting you in a box. And I hate when people are like, you've changed. It's like, yeah, well, fuck, the world's changing. Like, why wouldn't I change? You know, like, you got to adapt with the time. It's survival of the fittest, right?
100%.
So it's like, you should be growing and changing. But when people are so attached to your identity, for you, it's like, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like identity is what you create.
For sure.
If you're not growing, essentially they say you're dying.
Yes.
Right. So it's like,
Yeah. But it's interesting because as we talk about that attachment, people have an attachment to your identity.
Yes.
As you are experiencing your identity in reality. And the beautiful thing with being nomadic was you get to choose your environment. That's what actually allowed me to grow the most. If I wanted to hit up a music festival, because I was like, I want to like tap into like my dance, my expressive self, let's go into that. And I don't have to like explain it to anyone. I just literally just get in my car and I drive. And I paid for a ticket and was like, you know, I lived off $5,000 for 2 years. And that was me just basically going into some of my savings because I was like, you don't need a lot of money. I had a gym membership that offered me to my health. Like I was able to like work out and take care of myself. But I had to let go of a huge part of my identity to recreate the version or an identity that I was like really vibing with at that time. Yeah.
Do you feel though, like, because for me, like freedom is very important. I do sense that you were free at that time when you were nomadic, right?
Yeah.
But being in Western world
Right.
with money and everything costs money, right? Like, how did you feel free? Because I think for myself, like I work so hard to become, I want to be free in the
For
future,
sure.
right? So I can't get across, I feel like that would be very hard for me to be free if you're not financially free.
Right.
So like, how did you maneuver that? And
So like, I want to like reflect this question back to you. What does financially free means to you? Is there a number or?
I think it's just like, I don't want to worry about bills.
Okay.
And I think it's like, I want the freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want, right? And I think that's why I don't know, me and Dave were talking, like, for the future, I kind of want to move, like, to Thailand or someone that's just, you know, cost of living is cheaper.
For sure.
Right? So it's like building a foundation to be free.
Right.
Right? But, like, I think, like, how did you, I guess, overcome that? Because like that's very hard.
It was very hard.
Yeah.
I remember my first time actually like sleeping in the car, and I had a nice bed and stuff. It was comfy, and I was in actually the northeast of Calgary, just outside of Fit for Less, and I was in the parking lot, and I literally had like all my my window coverings on, and it was a very small car. It's a small hatchback, and I felt like I didn't want people to see me because I was like, there's a lot of shame because I was like, man, I don't have an address. I don't have like an income. And I didn't realize how much the program of what it meant to be like a successful human being was like weighing on me, and how much I put that in my put that in a precedence in my life. And I was like, I need to make like a certain amount of money a month to be right.
Yeah.
And then I sat with it long enough. I was very emotional. I was crying and releasing a lot. But then I realized one morning just kind of like hit me, and I was like, yo, I'm actually free. Like I have time. Like you said, Dave, I have so much time. And I literally started like waking up every day, and I was like asking myself, I'm like, hey, what do you want to do today? What do you want to do today? whatever you want to do, let's do it. And most of the stuff that I wanted to do was all recreational based. So it didn't cost money. It was just kind of like having that idea of like, I want to just go swim at this waterfalls and just like spend a day there and buy some fresh fruit from the grocery and just like have a picnic by myself. And that's what I would do. And I just kept doing that over and over again until like I nourished myself enough that I could stand back on my feet. And before you know it, I was, that energy was just following me. And I feel like the thing is, you can't fake the energy because people feel it, right? And I feel that energy kind of propelled me where I'm at right now. And going from being so free, like having so much time, to being like working and like, you know, like in this like the Western side, I still find moments of just like pure bliss. Like it could just be stopping in the morning as I'm like looking at the sun and just like stopping for like literally 10 seconds, closing my eyes and like just being as present as I can just in that moment. Even though there might be chaos happening around me, just like having those moments are just so important. Self-care, I think, is a very good way to instill richness in one's life. So what do you value as self-care, you know, versus someone else? And what does that look like for you? Because I feel like that is also richness. For me, it's like, you know, exercise and movement is therapy, and connection and community is therapy. So I think all these things adds to your richness. Obviously, we do have bills, as you mentioned before. So I just basically figured out how much I kind of like needed on a monthly basis with my insurance and my phone bill. And then the gas I would just use wherever I needed to. And yeah, it was very like, it was very liberating. I literally remember in the car so many times, I'd be like in the middle of a forestry service road and no signal, there was nothing. And all I had was 2 pictures of myself. One when I was 10 and one when I was like, I considered one of my most successful versions of myself when I was running track and field. And I just kept looking at them and I was like, man, like that's like the same person. But also I'm that person because I'm like looking at them. So it's like I got to like I got to look at myself from like a third party view. Yeah. But it was really, really cool because you could just allow yourself to grow and change and be okay with it. And whoever weren't okay with it, that wasn't even my thing. That was their thing.
Yeah. I feel like there's just like a lot of societal pressure, right? Especially in the Western world to like what the measure of success is. And usually it's like consumer based, like your house, for sure, your cars, all these things, right? So it's like that doesn't necessarily mean that defines you. It's more like external validation.
For sure.
Right? But I feel like the more important things is like time, right? Because that's, like I said, a finite resource. If you have time to go and spend time with your friends, do the things you want to do, that is like luxury, I would say. I think the second thing is health.
Yes.
Right? Because nothing really matters if you don't have health. Like you could have all the money in the world and you could be dying like Steve Jobs.
Right.
Like you can't buy health back even with all the money in the world, you know what I mean? So I feel like those 2 things are really important, time and health. And I think that's like something that I've gotten really aligned with in the last year or so, because after COVID and stuff, I got pretty sick. I was like, none of this stuff matters to me if I don't have health.
Yes.
Like if I'm laying in bed fucking dying, I can't eat and whatever. It's like I can't do anything. I can't take care of my family. I can't be around my friends and do all these things. But it's like without health, you don't have anything else.
It's true.
Yeah.
They say a healthy man has 99 problems, and an unhealthy man has 1, which is his health.
Which is his health.
It's true, right? Like
it's true,
dude. Like if your health is not good, you don't care about anything else.
That's true,
right?
Yeah.
Like if you're not feeling well,
man,
and you can't even get out of bed and like whatever, right? Like literally all your problems, you don't care about anything else, right? Because like if you're not living,
matters.
Yeah, nothing else matters.
Yeah, health is wealth.
Health is wealth.
We kind of got sidetracked from your
your background.
No. We were talking about
ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah.
What did you see?
So
tell us the experience of ayahuasca.
Jeez. Okay. So when I first took the medicine, first of all, it was in the indigenous community in Medellin in Colombia. No one spoke English, so I rolled up at like on full moon. From one of the girls that picked me up, she just spoke
It's
Spanish.
in Colombia?
Colombia, yeah. And she told me it was like $17. We just translated it over the internet. And she picked me up. She dropped me off to the shaman. And as I rolled up, we had to like scale down like a bit of a mountain, and I was barefoot. It was pretty cold. And when I opened the door, I remember like looking in, and there was like over like 35 people. They're all indigenous. They're all wearing like indigenous clothing from the mountains and hills. And I was like, oh my gosh, where am I? What am I doing?
So you're the only...
The only foreigner that spoke English, and the shaman didn't even speak English. And
that would be crazy.
It was really scary.
I don't think I would proceed after that.
It was like literally, Jason, like the most scariest part.
Yeah.
Of experience of humanity in my life. It was that moment, because I couldn't ask questions. I didn't research on YouTube ayahuasca or like the process. I didn't even know what it looked like. And at first, when I first rolled up, they had people gathering around this fire. It was a big hut. It was a mud hut. There was no windows. And everyone's like staring at me, and I'm like looking around. I'm like trying not to like be too awkward, but like they were very curious. They're like, yo, who's this guy? My hair was like so wild. It was
Whose
like,
man's this?
Yeah.
He's this guy that doesn't speak any of my language.
Yeah, doesn't speak Spanish. And the shaman was just like staring at me when I first got there, and I was like, he's like just like figuring out the dosage.
So these guys were in like, I just have this image in my head. They're like not Americanized at all.
No, not at all.
They're tribe.
The tribe.
Yeah, indigenous.
Oh.
Yeah.
Indigenous. So like,
Were they naked?
No. They weren't naked. They
Oh.
were.
It wasn't that kind of party.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't look around too hard, but I remember seeing lots of colorful like beaded pattern clothing and stuff. Yeah, it was crazy. And
Were you the only one?
I was the only one.
No, but like no one else was
There's 30 people.
There was 30 other people.
Yes.
But they were part of the tribe.
They were also doing the medicine.
Oh, they were all okay.
But,
okay.
but
So
no-
there was one person leading it.
Yeah, a shaman.
Yeah, a shaman, yeah.
He was speaking in Spanish, and he kind of just saw me when I first walked in. He came up, and I gave him like the money or whatever, and I just like
How much was it?
$17.
$17 for the whole.
It was overnight. Yeah, it was overnight. It was a crazy experience.
Yeah.
And then they first started blowing. There's a before you take aya, depending on the shaman or the style, they get you to take repe, which is basically tobacco that's like grounded up, and they blow it up into your sinuses. I didn't even know what that was. I thought initially that was ayahuasca, and I was like, man, what are they doing with this long stick, and why are they blowing up this person's nose? And like people were like crying and like puking and fainting, and I was like, I don't feel like I'm ready for this, right? So I was just sitting by the fire, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, a hand comes and goes on my side, and he points to the spot where the rapé is being put in. I didn't know what this whole medicine was about, and then I sat with it, and I didn't know I needed to blow my nose because it's part of purging, right? So I sat with the medicine until it kind of dissipated for almost an hour and a half. I was crying, and my nose is dripping, and people are staring at me, and I'm like, man, like I literally, I've never prayed as hard as I have when I took repe, because I thought that was the medicine.
So you weren't even on it yet.
I wasn't on it.
I was like tobacco.
Yeah, I wasn't on it, and no one can tell me anything, and I was just like, I was ready to die.
Yeah.
Like literally, I was ready to die. And then I found out that they're being called in the beaded curtain, and he's pouring something to drink, and I was like, yo, what is that? I'm like, maybe that's ayahuasca. So like, I'm trying to like I know we're in an age where we Google and we YouTube stuff a lot, but I'll be honest, I did not. All I just heard from my brother was like, take aya, it'll change your life, and just like, surrender. That's literally all I had.
Yeah.
Those are the two pieces of advice I had. And I remember when they called me into the beaded curtain to get the medicine, and he poured my cup. He poured it to the brim, and I was like, bro, like ease up. Like I couldn't speak to him in Spanish, but like I didn't want to like not take the medicine. So then
So it's like a liquid that you drink.
It's a liquid, yeah. So they brew the plant over several days, and it releases the I guess the chemicals that create the trip.
Yeah.
And it's very potent. It's just like different barks and trees and leaves from the forest. And it's a medicine that's been shared for thousands of years. The Mayans have played with it as well. And if you look at the creation of like that side of humanity, it can give you a glimpse of what they probably envisioned, like creating like Mayan ruins. Like we can imagine that, but like when you're on this medicine, it really allows you to like just like go into like another dimension, quite literally. When I took the sip, before I took it, I literally said like, I'm like, my last like words to my head was like, I surrender, like I'm ready to die. And I didn't realize the dying was actually like the part of like letting go of a version of myself, which we were talking about, like attachment, right? But I thought I was ready to like physically die, because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to bounce back from this, because I get drunk off like one beer. Like it's pretty bad. And I don't really touch like marijuana and stuff. So it's just like, it doesn't, I'm very sensitive. So when I took that medicine, within an hour, I was like literally like in another world.
Yeah, so ayahuasca is essentially DMT, but like your body naturally metabolizes DMT. Like it's in live food, so any vegetables or fruit or stuff like that, you eat it, your body metabolizes it so fast. But I think they add like a root or a leaf that blocks the metabolism of it. So essentially you're tripping for like 8 to 12 hours. That could feel like a lifetime.
Yeah. See, I don't even know that. I've taken the medicine, so it's like, yeah, it's crazy.
I've taken, let's say, something, and it's kind of like that. Not gonna say what, but it's kind of like, I would assume it's like called death of the ego, where you kind of like die, and then you see yourself, and like my whole life flashed within like, it felt like years I was going through something, but it was 20-30 minutes, right? But what did you go through for the 12 hours? Because like to me, I would never do that because no one speaks English. So like if you're tripping out and trying to talk to someone, you can't even. I feel like that'd be just fucking weird, right?
Yeah.
For me, like especially when you if you do want to talk to someone about it, like no one could talk to you, right? So like how was that? Like what did you tell us about your trip?
I literally sent a pin location to my friend before I location. I'm like, hey bro, like I'm losing reception, like this is my pin location. If I don't come back in 3 days, tell my family I love them because I'm dead. Like literally I was when I was driving in the car, I was like where's this girl taking me? Like she's literally taking me in the like fucking mountain or something. And
you were gone for 3 days?
It was only a day. It was overnight, but like I just didn't know if I was going to come back alive, right? So once I took the medicine, I was sitting against the pillar, and there was like a bamboo pillar holding up the hut, and everyone's sitting around fire, but I was like isolating myself because I was like, man, I can't even be around anyone right now because I can't even talk to them. I'm just going to stare at them awkwardly, and just they'd stare at me too. So I just like sat like aside from the fire. It was freezing cold. So what I did was I took off like my socks, and I made myself more uncomfortable because the medicine was so uncomfortable as it was before it kicked in. So I basically I took off a lot of layers, so I was just like sitting.
So you got naked?
I was like shirtless. I was shirtless, but they were all wearing winter coats and stuff because it was cold. It was pretty cold. It was winter time, and they were wearing toques and like winter boots and stuff. But I was like, man, like I know I've done cold immersion before, and I feel like if anyone's experienced cold therapy, they can relate. But like it helps you like deregulate your stress. So I felt in that moment there was a lot of stress, so I needed to like just literally like just connect to the cold, right? And that's what gave me comfort is in the discomfort. And then after 30 minutes, I felt like this big tingle that went through my whole body, and I was staring at this tapestry that was on the hut, and it was a lion, and I kept looking at the lion, and all of a sudden like my body felt weird, and I started looking at the lion, and the lion started like moving, and like it was like tripping me out. I was like staring at the lion. I'm like, man, what's happening? And I closed my eyes, and when I closed my eyes, that's when the trip actually started. I saw myself levitating off the ground, and I was like my eyes started opening up, and they were like completely open, and they were like shining like a bright white light. And then all of a sudden, like my third eye, which is just above your forehead, that opened up as well, and it was like beaming. And then the only comfort I had was like my connection to my brother that was in India at the time. And I was in this like unfamiliar space, and then I opened my eyes. Not open my eyes, but I opened my eyes in the dream. and I saw him standing across from me, and he was also levitating, like with like pretty much the same expression, but just like mirroring me, and just like he didn't say anything, but he just like, I remember like looking directly at his eyes, and it was so powerful that it gave me comfort in like that part, because I felt like if I'm about to die, this is like my last image I'm having, and it was like for my brother, and we're very close, right? So it was really special. And once I looked at him, I saw his eyes light up as well, and he had his third eye, like it was like beaming. And what was so crazy was at the time I told 30 friends of my friends around the world if they could light some incense for me at 11:11 on that day that I was taking the medicine, because I felt like we would be connecting energetically, and I could feel and see my brother like in spirit. And that was like, I guess that's another part of the dimensions, is like we start to see spirit, we start to see past lives, we start to see maybe future things that hasn't happened yet.
Say that again. You told 30
friends
30 friends
if they could light some incense and hold space while I'm journeying before I took the medicine.
Before you went.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure what it was going to be like. I didn't really know what to expect.
Interesting.
And I fasted before I went into the medicine, so my stomach was empty. So when I took the medicine, it hit me really strong.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It was my only nutrients I've had in like 3 days.
Did you purge?
I didn't even know what purging was at the time, so the medicine stayed inside of me
Yeah.
the entire time. But I was also tripping for 12 hours, which was crazy. Like I just remember it was just like the most vivid like dreams, and I've had so many visions after that one vision. My body kept levitating above the earth, and it went into outer space. So just imagine, like you are imagining your body levitating above the earth, and it feels and looks so real that you can't separate if it's real or not. It's happening for all you may know. And I was looking at the earth, and then all of a sudden I started falling. And as I was falling, my body and all my parts of myself was disintegrating and like breaking apart. And I just went like all the way down to the ground, and I was in like the darkest room you could ever imagine. It was like picture like the blackest room that you open your eyes and you can't tell if your eyes are closed or open. It was like in that space. And that was when I wanted out of the medicine. I opened my eyes and I was like, I want out of this trip. I want out. I can't do this. And I started looking at people, and people were like pixelated, like they're all Lego. They look like Lego blocks. Like, so I was looking at you across the street, across the room, like I was looking at these people, and they're all sitting by the fire, and the fire looked like Lego. That's how I could describe it. And I was like, man, I can't escape this. Like I can't run, because we always say like, you know, for you to heal, you have to go through it. You can't avoid it. There's no avoiding it. I couldn't close my eyes. I couldn't numb out. I couldn't ask anyone for like comfort. It was in a space of like, this is actually what probably surrendering probably looks like for me in my life, in all the experiences I've had. And I went back into it. I closed my eyes. I went back into it, and I needed to like sit in that dark space. And I sat there long enough till I surrendered, and then all of a sudden I started hearing voices in the back, and I was like feeling like this like warm fluid. I was like moving around, and I started realizing I was having like I was remembering when my mom was giving birth. So I went back to before I was like coming out of the womb, because I could hear my grandparents in the background, and it was so crazy because I just imagine in one dark space I felt no love, and I felt so lonely, and then I was like I guess I transmuted into another space where I felt my mother's warmth and her love, but I didn't know that was my mother. I didn't know that was my grandparents. And I remember when like she gave birth, like I had a vision of that also, because they say when you take the medicine, you also start to remember things that you can't remember before. So I started remembering how my mom gave birth to me, and that was really powerful. And I remember when I came out of the hut the next morning, it smelled like Trinidad. Like it literally smelled like Trinidad, because it was like chickens roaming around the hill. And I was like, man, this smells like it feels like I'm a kid right now. Like I literally, like within 3 weeks of coming out of the medicine, I forgot how to swim. I forgot how to do certain things. I lost a lot of my ability because you literally you can't be that old version of yourself before. So I had to like relearn how to swim, which is crazy because I love swimming. I'm a Pisces, and I was afraid of the water. So it's like I literally felt like in that space I died, and I shaved my head like basically 2 days after, just after solstice, and I offered it as thanks because I realized my attachment to my hair and my identity at the time was like the thing I was attached to the most. So I basically said to myself, if I let go of the thing that I'm the most attached to, then everything else in my life I can let go. And the thing that I was the most attached to was my hair. It was like super long and curly, and I shaved it off. And once I shaved it off, the next like month and a half, thank you to my family, because if it wasn't for them and my friends, I would not have been able to like heal. Because I think after you take the medicine, the biggest thing is like integration, is creating space for yourself to really like dive deep and not have to worry about like working or doing all of those stuff. So creating space for yourself after, I think, is just as important as preparation for the medicine.
Do you think after you take it, you become more aware of, I guess, yourself in life, and you're able to cope with things easier, I would say?
Yeah, I was hiding a lot at that time, and I needed to be real with it. So I felt like for me, I had to get real with myself. I had to get real with people and be like, hey, like I can't do this anymore. Like if it was a relationship, I'd be like, this isn't serving us, and we know that. So why are we staying in it? You know, you're not happy, I'm not happy. And it's like, if we truly love ourselves and if we truly love other people, then we would want to see the best for them. We wouldn't hold on to people and create this like codependent suffering. And I feel like that's what's happened now, is like some of the relationships that you witness, there's just like one person suffering and they're putting that suffering onto others. And it's like they say a hurt person hurts others and a healed person heals others. So if our environment is not healing us, it's hurting us, then we need to find ways to, first of all, communicate that and make a change, or we're not obligated to that either. It's just like, so I felt like for me, it was like, it really got me like very aware of like the energy that I was putting into the world and into my life. And like, I started letting go of people and I like versions of myself that weren't serving. I couldn't eat specific food after because of the vibration. Like you get so sensitive to energy. I couldn't listen to music. I love reggae. I couldn't listen to music with lyrics for like over a month because it was too much. It was too much.
How do you? I find it hard to let go of people because you are so attached, especially like the people you grow up with, build relationships with.
Right.
How was that, like, letting go of people? Because like me and Dave always talk about it. It's like, you know, there's some people in your lives that, you know, that maybe aren't serving you or just different.
For sure.
You know, but you did grow up with them.
Yeah.
And you still are attached to them. It's very hard for me, right?
Yeah. Well, you guys were born in Calgary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a lot of your friend groups are probably still here.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes the easiest thing is to change your location. That's like an easy way to kind of like break away. But if you're still stuck, if you're not stuck, but if you're still in the same city that you grew up in, that could be challenging because you have a lot of childhood friends as well too. So like for me, like coming from the islands, it was very easy to kind of like detach. And I think for me, how do I let go of people? For me, I have to remember that we came in this world solo. Like we came in just obviously with our mother, mm-hmm. and we're gonna go solo. So at the end of the day, like as much as they're a friend, and if like they're in your life and they're connected that way, sometimes we just have attachments to people that keep us comfortable. And I would reflect that question back to you, be like, are there groups in your life or friends or connections that you have right now that currently you're still connected to them just because it's comfortable?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, right?
Right.
And I realized too, is like, I also want to meet new people. But it's very hard, I feel, to meet new people, right? Because everyone's in their own world.
For sure.
And it's like, how do you, I mean, I guess you can meet new people, but I feel like a lot of people don't want to meet new people also.
For sure.
Everyone's in their own bubble.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like a comfort thing. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like people in your past, it's like a form of comfort.
Right.
And also a form of identity. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like sometimes those identities are good or they're bad.
For
right?
sure.
Like it's like I said before, like the box that people put you in. But I feel like if you're open to like opening yourself to that energy and closing doors of people or things or whatever don't serve you, you actually open the door for other opportunities.
For sure.
Right, and that's how I felt like with just even my own past and friendships and stuff like that. Like I never lost anything by being realigned with myself and like not giving energy to things that don't serve me anymore.
Yeah.
Right, and whether that's like attachment, things, people, whatever it is, it's like it's just a part of the world now. And if you allow things to open up, there's opportunity there. But if you never let anything in, then you'll never have the opportunity, right? You'll never know.
Yeah.
So
That's a great point. I think to elaborate more on that also is like just how Dave said we have a finite amount of time, we have a finite amount of energy. So if your energy is being put into relationships, even it could be family members that are not serving you, like let's not even like go out to like our friends group. Let's look at our actual like family unit. If that's not serving you, then why are you still giving energy to it, right? And what is the benefit of being in that bubble or being that identity or that person for another family member of who they think you should be? And I feel the reason why we can't let go of friends is because we are in a family dynamic that we can't let go of either. So friends are just reflective of what we're experiencing in our home. So I feel like if there are family members, like even our parents, how they have belief patterns and they essentially tell us, but just by how they live their lives, what's important when we're growing up. You need to have so much money, you need to go to school, you need to do all this stuff. We've already been put in a box before we had a chance to like walk out into the world and be like, oh my gosh, like I'm living my parents' program right now and their parents' program. So it's like I had to like, you have to get to that point of being like, just like, fuck it. Like I want to know who this soul is inside here apart from all the noise around me. And none of the noise actually even matters. So it's like, I would say like, try to reflect back on, is there people in your life, family-wise, that you're not able to let go of? Because I feel friends just reflect that energy as well, right?
Yeah, I think it's like, when you look at yourself too and your identity of, your friends and family, I question a lot of like why, I question my identity a lot growing up of like how I became, who I was and why I'm doing what I was doing. And like my I would say like self-development growth started at a very young age too, right? Like I dropped out of school. I realized I was in school because of my parents. I was doing all this shit. I was like, who am I? I had like a midlife crisis, right? I did a lot of spiritual development too, right? I was like, so it's like, I think to get out of that, you really do need to work on yourself. And a lot of people don't see that.
Yeah.
Right? Like you really, really need to dig in yourself and like ask all these tough questions about, why you are the way you are, why you did this the way you did this, why you think the way you think, right? And I think being aware of that is actually, and being able to not control it, but like being aware to make decisions more aware, like that you're not just your thoughts.
Yes.
Is the most powerful thing, right? Like if you could kind of control your thoughts and be aware that like you're watching a thinker, that is what gives you the power to I guess like be more, I don't know, free, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it comes down to just like self identity and also self awareness. Like you have the control to create whatever you want in life, as much as like your parents or your friends or whatever like that want to put you in a box, right? Like at the end of the day, if you are seeking like external validation or seeking things out of like the outside, right? Like what people think of you or whatever it is, you lose your power.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like you're allowing someone else to control your life, right? And then that becomes like a victim mindset, and you know, like you put the blame on everybody else because you think that everybody else has a say in your life. But when you look inwards and look into that yourself, then you take that power back. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of people don't do that. They don't know themselves.
Yeah.
They're images of what people think they are, and that's what they create as an identity or whatever, and they're so attached to that identity, you know what I mean? So
true.
Yeah, you need to let go of the identity, and I think that was a big thing for me last year, was like just really looking at yourself and being the thinker, because your thinker is always automatic. You are a machine. You're always thinking, right? So it's like, if you could just notice that you are always thinking, and that you could watch your thoughts of what you're thinking.
Yes.
You're already, I don't even know, be aware.
Yes.
Or like, but that's like, I think that's the spirituality that everyone needs to go through or try to find, right?
For sure.
Because you aren't your identity,
No.
right?
well, I think that's like a major thing that people are lacking nowadays is spirituality.
Absolutely.
Right? Like they put so much faith in like everything else. Like they don't look into themselves, but they don't realize that the power is within you, right?
Yeah.
I think it's like, how do you get out of that into that world without drugs, though? Because it's like, I think drugs just make it so much easier.
Yeah.
I think meditation.
Yeah, meditation's good. Yeah.
For me, it was nature.
Yeah.
Nature was very powerful. Imagine just waking up every day and just bathing in a river, you know, and it's ice cold. There's nothing else more important or on your mind than being in that water at that moment, because you can't possibly think about anything else.
Yeah.
In that mind.
Cold plunge.
Cold plunge.
'Cause you were doing a lot of that before.
A lot of cold plunging, yeah. So the cold became normal, and I feel like cold is a reflection of like discomfort. We've gotten very comfortable. Our homes are at like 21 degrees, which is probably like a good temperature for breeding diseases and inflammation. Our food, we all know about our food. It's not clean anymore. So it's just like we've gotten like so disconnected, and I feel like all these things, and then our lives have gotten so busy. How many of us have more than one job? It's like, how many jobs do we need?
Dude, you got like 10 jobs right now.
I know, but like but it's crazy being in that now from being nomadic. It's like I'm like, okay, I realize
You went from one extreme to the other.
yeah. And now I'm just like rebalancing. But I think it was just like I realized I have all this energy now, because I'm like not necessarily hungry, but I'm like I'm ready to like just like really create a strong foundation for when my family is here. You know, the child arrives, my son, so that my wife can take time off as well, and I can also have time off. So I'm trying to like just like use all the skills that I've been given with repairing stuff, because I felt like I didn't have a lot of tools when I was nomadic, but I had my hands, and I had my mind, and I had my health, and I could do anything. And I felt like I was able to like, I did a couple jobs where I learned so much just like traveling around, and it was very healing, right? So yeah.
What would you say the biggest lessons you learned in the last few years, and like this transition of your extreme lives?
Jeez, that's a very powerful question. One thing I've learned is like you need to fill your cup first. Like you absolutely need to fill your cup first. Like regardless of if you have 10 kids or 1 kid or no kids, you need to do something that's going to give you or charge you up and give you life and vitality. And that changes as we let go of past versions of ourselves, and we be okay with that. But if we're not exposing ourselves to new things, then we become stagnant. And I felt like for me, movement was also medicine. I feel like, just imagine if our bodies are not moving, not just physical exercise, maybe dance, or it's expression. If our bodies are not moving, we create stagnant energy. What happens when the river becomes stagnant? It creates diseases. Diseases is dis-ease. It's basically things are not flowing, are not moving. So I felt like plugging back into yourself, like creating movement to create like flow. And the other thing would probably just be honest with yourself. Like be honest with yourself. Like it doesn't matter what anyone thinks about you. At the end of the day, it matters how you show up and how you think about yourself. And if you aren't happy, then what will it take? Or what will it take for you to become happy? And I think we live in a world where we want instant gratification. Everyone wants happiness. Everyone wants that perfect trip, that 5-star Google rating. But it doesn't exist. It literally, I feel like we all have the opportunity to experience joy right now in our lives that is not monetary based. Mm. And it could just be literally going outside, looking at a tree and being like, yo, that's the coolest tree ever. Or looking at some children playing at the playground. Not in the creeper way, but like just looking at children and just watching, seeing like
simplicity,
seeing families like just outside interacting. Mm-hmm. Watching someone else like give each other like a hug, like you can feel that energy. So it's like we're already so richer than we think, but society has put a price tag on everything and put it in our Amazon cart, and it's just like how can we, I would actually reflect this question back to everyone that's listening. What can you do for yourself this year that will create more joy and abundance that's not based on position, on job, on title, on working more, but like really create that awareness? Because I feel like what you said earlier is like we all have patterns, but if we can like really step out and be like, hey, I don't actually need to work 2 jobs because I don't need all these subscriptions, and let this be a podcast to end all podcasts. Yo, you don't actually need to listen to podcasts or read books. Like Dave said, like you have to just like tap into yourself. But I feel like we're in a point where we're so inundated with information and overload that we can't comb what's our truth or our intuition or our reality. Because there's so many people that are saying, do this diet, do this meditation. You don't even need ayahuasca. I started with the medicine, but I'll end with it. You don't even need Aya. You literally have the medicine inside of you. You don't need a ton of money. I was like, one of the reasons why I wanted to live in my car, because I like driving, and I was like, man, it's pretty small, but like I wasn't living in my car. I was living in the world. The thing is, like, and that doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything to go outside and have exercise and like breathe in some nice oxygen. But I think we've gotten to a point where we think everything is subscription based and membership based, or it's like we're paying for an experience. But I'm like, you don't actually need to pay for anything, because we're experiencing it right now as we're like witnessing it.
Yeah. I feel like a big part of that is social media, right? Like
that's like all of it.
I feel bad for kids like nowadays, because like their life is measured by their social worth based on an app.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And you're trying to impress these people that follow you that don't even fucking know you. You know what I mean? It's like it's so much validation. That's why I think it's so addicting for people to go through that, right? So like they don't realize that like the best thing in life are free.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So
take a break from social media as well. I was also very connected to social media. That's what allowed me to connect with people as well. And I recently just uninstalled everything. Like I just have Facebook because I use Marketplace once in a while, but I was following over 1,800 people, and I basically unfollowed 1,600 people because I was like, they're actually not, this connection's not serving me anymore. And like I just felt like it was just noise. So I would say like simplify your life. Like unsubscribe. Everyone's telling you to subscribe. I'm going to tell you to unsubscribe. You could even unsubscribe to this channel as well. Like
Don't do
No,
that.
don't do that.
don't do it. Don't do
A
it.
little too much there.
Okay, no.
No, but just to intervene here, this is the whole reason why the podcast was created, because
Yeah.
a lot of people saw the Instagram and was like, oh, you're doing good in this and business, and you know, when people see their business or just their life, they're only posting their highlights.
For
right?
sure.
The good.
And I was like, I didn't like the perception where people always thought I was good. And I was like, yo, we need to create something, because like business is hard, life is hard, everything is hard, but there's like people weren't able to share that like authentically and real in a space where like that's not on Instagram, right?
Right.
So like that was the whole point of this, was like there are a lot of struggles, there is a lot of pain, there is a lot of, you know, suffering in the world, and it's just not Instagram.
It's
right?
true. Yeah.
But like that's Instagram. It's all highlights. It's all highlights.
It's
But,
like
yeah.
very fake.
Yeah.
It's like the best version of yourself, but like people don't see what it took to get there.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's so easy. It was this, and like
You're lucky, you know.
you're lucky. Yeah, and it's like, no, man, you have no idea what I've been through.
Yeah. No, but but all jokes aside, I feel like there's benefit to sharing and receiving information, but like really stop and like analyze how much stuff you're taking in and how much is actually like adding value to your life.
I like what you said too about you have to have your cup full to give, right?
Yeah. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave said that to me last year, because I was like, I was just giving,
Right.
and then I was like, okay, how do I, like, I wasn't happy, right? And I mean, like, it was hard to give on an empty cup,
Absolutely.
right? So like, what I learned is like, yeah, you always have to do you first,
Yeah.
always, right? And then that will always overflow,
Right.
right? So.
And I
Yeah.
wanted to ask this question because we're coming up to our time, but what does richness look like for each of you if you were to like reflect on that question?
I think it's just the freedom, you know, to sleep when you want, to wake up when you want, because I really value sleep. Right. I think that's important. Also, spending time with family and friends. Like you have the time and opportunity to do the things you want to do. Like you don't really have to think about things, right? Like it's like, I feel like 80% of the people living in the Western world are living like better than 90% of the population, right? And I don't think that a lot of people are grateful for that. They're always looking at what's missing, what they don't have, right? But it's like, if you have like, you know, food on your table and a roof over your head, you're living better than most of the world. So it's like, I think a big thing is gratitude, and also just freedom of time, because like I said, time is the most important asset. Once it's gone, you never get it back. And whether that's time with your friends, your family, doing things you love, doing the things you enjoy, like that is true freedom to me.
Love that. I love that you mentioned gratitude, because it's so essential. I feel like the more grateful we are, the richer our lives become. So if you stop from now and you think, man, like I'm so grateful to have this couch, you will feel richer just by just having that thought pattern of like this thing that's been in your living room that you've never given thanks for, like since you bought it. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like the car taught me that, because it was like I was around everything. But yeah, gratitude's so important. It's beautiful, Dave.
What was the question again?
How do you define richness, or what does richness look like for you in your life?
I think I think just being free is rich. and honestly being just grateful for everything. Like,
Yeah.
I'm actually, I feel so grateful, and it's like we're able to do whatever we want.
Yeah.
We're doing this. We're like, I could do whatever I want whenever I want, right? And it's like having that freedom, right? I think that's the new world where, you know, you're not working a 9 to 5. You're not working on someone else's time. You're doing what you want to do and what you want to put out in the world and how you want to live. Exactly what you did, right? Like, that's richness. Like, being nomadic for 2 years, you didn't give a fuck. You just want to do what you want to do.
Absolutely.
That is ultimate freedom, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's like, to me, that is free. Like, it's like, hey, I want to do this. Let's try it out. Hey, I want to do this. Let's try it out, right? And to me, that like the freedom to be yourself is rich.
Yeah.
And the freedom to do what you want. So like, freedom of fully self-expressed.
Yes.
I think that's being able to be yourself with everyone is rich.
I love that.
Yeah. So what about, before we end the podcast, is there anything that you want to say with the last words
Jeez.
and leave with the audience?
So grateful to everyone that's tuned in. So grateful for this channel, for what you guys have created, the community that it's brought. So grateful to have everyone here who's helped set up as well. And yeah, just, I don't really have much to say. You know, I felt like we shared some really powerful stuff. I might have rambled a bit more too than I wanted, but yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I felt like it was a really good episode, and yeah.
What do you see next for yourself? Because,
Jeez, in terms of anything,
yeah, next chapter.
I feel like after being nomadic and being just like living very mindfully, like financially, I feel like the next version of myself is going to be like that, but I'm going, like, there's so much abundance already, and not just financially, but I feel with my family, I want to have more time. I'm working a little bit more than I wanted right now, but I know it's a transition, and I'm staying grounded, and I'm really excited for 2024. It's the year of my son, and I'm grateful that my brother is out west as well, and his beautiful wife. So I really feel like it's going to be a very powerful year, building the team. I'm looking forward to getting to know everyone at YYC and all the clients that we deal with. You won't be able to find me on social media, but you'll definitely have to hit me up with a regular phone call or visit. But yeah, I'm looking forward to connecting with this whole community. I think that's gonna be really exciting, and just like I want to just help people, just whatever they need with, right? In terms of not just property management, but just like I want to have more chats like this. I think this is like, I'm really open to this kind of stuff. So yeah, if you ever see me again or we talk, share what's on your mind. You know, I think that's important. But
all right.
Yeah, we can end it there. And thank you, Dave. Thank you, Jason. Thank you also for bringing me in this beautiful family. And it's very grateful to be here.
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming through.
All right, that's it, guys.